Hey, what is up guys? Mike Thomas, aka the Young Trishula here. Today I want to bring you guys something just a little bit different than what we normally do here on the channel, and that is because something very special happened to us last night. Last night we were streaming some DB ladder, as we do, over on twitch.tv/TrishilaTTV. Go check us out. When we queued into somebody who I thought looked very familiar, and I couldn't quite place it until I said, wait a second. This is the account of the 2015 North American Dragon Duel champion. We are playing against a national champion. Now, you might ask yourself, have I ever heard of the 2015 Dragon Duel North American champion before? And you might have. I believe they have a YouTube account. I don't know if they're very popular. You can go check them out. I think it's called the DB Grinder. So I just want to go ahead and share a replay of our match with you guys with some post commentary because it was a really fun match, really good match, and I think you guys will just enjoy it. So let's get on to the replay, and I hope you all enjoy. So here we are versus the DB Grinder. We're going to start things off with the rock, paper, scissors, shoot, as we do on the DB Grinder, and we're going to see that I lose the rock, paper, scissors. Gotta hate to see it, to be honest. And I'm going to be going second. So from both sides, we see that Boss with Famas is playing the Tri-Brigade strategy, a very popular strategy in the Lightning Overdrive metagame. And I'm going to be playing the Virtual World strategy, which is maybe not as popular, but is maybe one of the better positioned decks in the format right now because it has very good matchups against Sky Striker. And it has an okay matchup against Tri-Brigade, though it is unfavored when it goes second. But thankfully I open a very good hand with Gamma and Impermanence. We actually both open Gamma Imperm and 3 engine pieces, so this is from both sides looking pretty good. And we're gonna be talking in the chat a little bit because Yugitubers, we're friends, we're Yugitubing friends, so just queuing into each other, kind of fun. I think this is the first time we've queued into each other on the ladder. And we're going to see the DB Grinder start off with Fire Formation Tenki, which I'm going to allow, and he is going to go ahead and add Fractal. He's going to start with Fractal, and I'm going to allow it because now if you had an Ash Blossom, a lot of the times you're going to Ash Blossom the Fractal to cut them off from having names in the graveyard. You don't want to set up their Revolt just in case they randomly have Revolt in their hand. And this ends up being a good play because he has the Gamma, so he's not able to Gamma or Gamma. So he's going to normal summon the Fractal, which we're going to then Imperm, forcing him to use the Karos in his hand if he wants to play. So we're going to see that, and we could kind of infer that the Karos kit was there because Fractal did not send the kit. Normally Fractal sends kit to set up for Revolt, but if they already have the Karos plus kit in their hand, a lot of times they'll just go straight for Nervball. So he's going to send the kit off of kit, which I'm then going to point out is not legal because kit can't send itself, so he's just going to correct that quickly. And then Karos is going to activate, banishing the other 2 cards from his graveyard, and we are going to Gamma it and leave him with just a negated Fractal. So this is now looking pretty bad for him because he has the Gamma in his hand, which can't do anything, and he has an Imperm. And he doesn't know it yet, but the Imperm does not do anything against my deck. And I'm going to draw an Ash Blossom for turn, which is good for me because it's either an Interruption or a normal summonable tuner. I'm going to start with the Kauwloon and check for Ash Blossom. We do not see Ash Blossom, and we do not see a Revolt here, which is important because now I know that this probably is not a Revolt, but I'm not exactly sure what kind of a player DB Grinder Friend is, so I do not know whether or not maybe he's thinking of a play where he's going to hold the Revolt for when I get more monsters on the field, maybe get rid of an Ultimate Zulkin or something. So I'm going to just go ahead and send a Nyan, and I skip a step here. I just banish the Chenglong from my deck because I know he doesn't have Ash Blossom. I pitch the Ash Blossom out of my hand, and I'm going to reveal the Lulu, sending another Chenglong and adding a Lao Lao. So now we're in a really good position at this point. And we're just going to go straight into Vermilion. If this is Revolt, we're going to force it right now. And we are going to banish out our Lulu, making the Chuchi live if this is a revolt. But it is not, it is the Imperm, and we're going to see Boss with Famas just concede because this is going to be lethal. So we're going to side here, and we're just going to talk to each other in the chat. Boss with Famas is going to rage quit to fix the siding pattern. So rage quit Poggers there. And I'm going to go second again. They're going to elect to go first after siding, which is really good for them. And now we both open pretty good hands. From Boss with Famas, we're seeing a Call By, a Rescue Cat, a Prosperity, DD Crow, and Ash Blossom. So really, really strong hand here. You know, you have two hand traps, the best normal summon in your deck, consistency piece, and a Call By to protect the Rescue Cat. But unfortunately for DB Grinder, we open double Imperm Ash Blossom. So double Imperm Ash Blossom is good enough to pretty much stop any hand that the Tri-Brigade deck opens with. And then we have two names, so we do have Engine. So they're going to normal summon Rescue Cat, and we're going to Imperm it. We're not going to wait for the Tribute and the Ash Blossom, because it plays into Call By the Grave and Ciphering Gear Gamma. So this is a very common play. The Rescue Cat's just going to sit there on the field and just look very cute, but it's not going to do anything. And then DB Grinder is going to activate the Pot of Prosperity, which we will Ash Blossom, and is going to get Called By the Grave. So we have now with two cards, forced them to use 3 cards in their hand. The Prosperity is going to even out, so we've traded just 2 for 2 here. And they're going to reveal another Rescue Cat, Tenki Nervball, 2 Revolts, and a Gamma. So rather than taking one of the 2 follow-ups, the DB Grinder is going to take a Ciphering Gear Gamma because I'm on 3 cards, and the DB Grinder knows that the Virtual World deck needs 2 cards to play. So what that means is that I would have to have 4 names in my hand is the only way that I could play through an Ash plus a Gamma. Because, so say I start with normal summon Nyan, I reveal a name, he Gammas it, I reveal another name, he Ash Blossoms it. I have to have a 3rd name in my hand in order to even play the game. So this is a very good play from the DB Grinder. But the problem with this play is this leaves the DB Grinder with no follow-up at all. And we know at least one of their Tenkis is at the bottom of their deck, so they're not going to be drawing it. So say I did have 2 names in hand, we would burn half of the DB Grinder's hand, but we would keep at least one of those names because only the Gamma destroys one of the monsters. So this is not looking good from the DB Grinder for the start. And then I have the Imperm to back it up as well. So we're going to draw E-Telly here, and we're going to normal summon Nyan. I'm going to reveal a Lao Lao, and they're going to chain Gamma. And I'm going to just let that resolve. You know, I don't have a way to play around that. And I'm going to do something interesting here. So I have a very good read that the DB Grinder has an Ash Blossom because they chose to take this Gamma rather than a guaranteed follow-up like the Tenki. So I have a very good read that the cards in their hand are hand traps. So I'm going to think for a little bit, and I'm going to set the Imperm. With only 1 beast in the graveyard, they are not going to be able to do much through an Imperm, so I think this is pretty safe here. I'm going to hold the emergency teleport because I want, like, say they top deck Fractal here and they go normal summon Fractal. I want to be sure that I'm going to be able to have a name if I draw a name. So very important that I keep the emergency teleport here rather than trying to push a little bit extra damage onto the field by using it. So they're going to just draw Nibiru and they're going to pass turn. No reason to play here because you still are just sitting on 3 hand traps. And I'm going to draw the Ash Blossom for turn. So I am going to normal summon my own Ash Blossom here because while I could hold the Ash Blossom for a Fractal or a Tenki, it is not necessarily one of the cards that they could top deck, and I don't want to just sit and wait. Like if they top deck a Tenki, for example, and I Ash it, you know, if they have a Fractal in their hand that they were holding for whatever reason, I didn't want to play into that. So I'm going to just Synchro straight off into Stardust Charge Warrior because I know that there's potentially an Ash Blossom in my opponent's hand. And in a top decking scenario, this is very good Ash bait, and it could potentially find me one of the names that I would need in order to play the game and really start getting back in there. So I'm going to go for Charge Warrior. And so that is going to bait the Ash Blossom, and then we are going to use the emergency teleport to get the Nyan out. And this will reborn the Nyan in our graveyard. We also wanted to synchro so that we could make this play and get bodies on the field. Now, here's where I think I make a bit of a misplay. What I think I should do here is, I think the best play would be for me to enter battle phase and go attack, 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 main phase 2, you know, try and recover some resources, and with something like a Ptolemy, and then just pass turn. However, what I end up doing is I synchro for GGWP here, and then I go straight into Ptolemy, because in my head, I'm saying to myself, and I summon this in defense, I'm in the process of correcting it when they Nibiru me, and in my head what I'm thinking is that I'm going to summon the Ptolemy. Ptolemy is going to add back, you know, either Lao Lao or Nyan, and from there, you know, I'm going to attack, I'm going to make a 4 material Zeus, and it's just, or a 3 material Zeus, and that is going to be pretty much game, because I'll have infinite impermanence to deal with any normal summoned like Tri-Brigade monster, and the Zeus would then clear any back row that they could set. However, this walks straight into the Nibiru, which is not good, so I miss 5,000 damage, and now I'm facing down a Nibiru. So Boss with Moss is going to draw a Pero Cerberus, which is a card that is now seeing a little bit of fringe play in the Tri-Brigade strategy, specifically in the versions that are playing Rescue Cat, because this card can be summoned off of the Rescue Cat instead of wasting like one of your Karoses. And then this is effectively just a at Ignister Wind Pegasus. I believe there's also, if you take battle damage, the other thing that you can do with this card is you can crash into something in order to get a pop. So it's a pretty good card. I'm not sure if it's going to become standard or not, but it's definitely cool to experiment with. So they're going to just attack my token with their Nibiru, and I'm going to draw a Lily. Obviously, I can't play with that, so I'm just going to pass. They top deck their Karos, and thankfully for them, it is the Karos and not something like a kit, because now they can pitch the Pero out of their hand in order to summon Karos, and now that puts a second tribal in their graveyard, so they can banish both of them for the Karos. It's going to get impermed, and we're just going to take 4,200 to the face, which is unfortunate. So right here, I'm really hoping that I'm going to draw a name that I can play so I can reveal this Kirin, but unfortunately we draw another horse and we don't get to play. Now, DB Grinder is going to commit a fatal error here, which is that he wished that I brick. And now, if you don't already know this in Yu-Gi-Oh, if you hope for bad luck for your opponent, that is bad juju. If you do that, you will brick, your opponent will draw the nuts. It happens every time. Do not do that. It is the most cursed thing that you can do in Yu-Gi-Oh. But DB Grinder obviously did not know this, so they hit me with the now to hope that you brick smile. I'm going to go first, and I'm going to draw Insane. So I'm going to draw probably one of the best hands in the deck, which is City, Lulu, and a card that I can set, meaning that Lulu does not have to search the Kauwloon, so I get my free monster search. So I pretty much now have every name available to me. And I'm going to get my Chuchi straight from deck. I'm going to send my Chenglong, and I'm going to add a Lily. This is just very, very standard combo now. But what's important about this is I'm going to send a Chenglong and another Chuche. I send another Chenglong here because I know my opponent's playing Tri-Brigade. I did not see the DD Crow. They did have the DD Crow, but I inferred that they would probably be playing at least one copy of DD Crow in their deck, because it is searchable in the Tri-Brigade strategy, and DD Crow on Chenglong can mess you up a little bit. So I wanted to be safe from that. So I'm going to send the second one. We're going to use Chuche to boost the Lulu and make Zulkin. We're going to set our Imperm and trigger Zulkin and summon Crystal Wing as our 4th summon. So this Nibiru is dead, and the driver with the Dead Driver and the Dead Nibiru. Boss with Famas has the epitome of the cursed hand for wishing that I bricked. So hopefully DB Grinder Friend will learn from the errors of their way. We are going to Chenglong, grab Lao Lao, and we're going to send Gigi. So I'm going to mention this real quickly because I don't see every virtual world player doing this right now. When you have the ability to go Lao Lao and you have a Kirin in your graveyard and you haven't used one of your names, like any of the virtual world names, you can send a name that you want to use, and you can then go into Ptolemy and you can use Ptolemy to add back the card that you sent, so that way you can get the names. So you pretty much have access to every name in your deck. It's effectively just another Chenglong. So that's really good for me because now I get 2 bodies back with the Nyan, and this is going to allow me to go into the Muddy Mud Dragon, which is really strong because this is going to allow me to fusion into Dragoon. But not only that, this gives me a add back in my end phase, which means that our Dragoon is going to have a guaranteed negate without setting this called by. So I am going to be able to set my called by as well to negate something like a Fractal. So we are going to set that. We're going to move to end phase and get back our Lulu in case we never have to use Dragoon. So now we have Dragoon, called by, Imperm, Chuche, and Crystal Wing. And our opponent, with considering the 2 dead cards in their hand, we have 5 interactions. They have three potentially playable cards because they can't activate the Revolt either. So this is not looking good for a DB Grinder. They're going to just mill their top card and concede because they already know that there's no way they're playing through all of this. So that was the match. I hope you enjoyed this match. Maybe you learned something. I had a lot of fun playing it. I thought game 2 was a lot of fun, very interesting. Let me know what you thought about this match down in the comment section below. Go check out the DB Grinder. They post the best competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content on the platform. And most of all, I hope you have a good day. Take it easy.